You want to say anything to anybody?
Hello. Between the ages of like 18 and 45 or 50, something like that, we have the biggest male population ever in the history of this country that flat out does not work because they don't want to work. So they get by on different ways. They just hang out all day, relax, watch TV, go fishing, whatever, and live off government, whatever, things here and there. When push comes to shove, the ultimate backbone of any society, for basic, obvious reasons, without getting at the, romper room level, right? The backbone are the men, right? Right? The backbone of the men. Sorry.
Or we're talking in the workforce?
And of society in general, yeah, right. The workforce is all part of that, right? That's the backbone. And when you rip that
I don't know, man. Women are pretty important.
Absolutely,
like to a family structure.
100%. And but what I'm trying to say is, but the men are the ultimate backbone when it comes to the workforce, right? And in a lot of ways, and well, what do you mean, Dan? You're being sexist. Well, who at the end of the day, the bulk, right, does all the dangerous jobs too? Building skyscrapers, iron workers,
robots, robots.
Yeah, robots. Doing underground work, manhole cover work, right? People don't realize that in the average town and city, for example, if you want to get a lesson for a day, lift up a manhole and get down in there. There's a total underground city under every town, major town and city in this country, that's running fiber, running cables. That's how your water moves around and everything. That stuff has to be maintained on a daily basis. That's heavy, grueling, arduous, sweaty work, okay? And the bulk of the people doing that, sorry, are men, okay? Nothing against women. I love women. Okay. We need women, and there are some women that do it. Absolutely. Probably. But the bulk of men, it just is.
So what's the point?
So the point is most women don't want to do that, which is fine and normal. Probably most guys don't want to do it.
Well,
but we're reaching a point now where ethics and certain values are just gone. And a lot of men.
Well, it's okay to have a division of duties, right? It's okay to be a man and
I understand.
be a woman.
I understand.
That's the problem today.
But here's where I'm going. When you start getting bigger and bigger percentages of men because of certain values aren't there anymore, they just say, hey, I don't want to work. I just don't even want to work. Well, then your backbone suffers. And eventually your backbone collapses. And that translates to society collapsing. Because who's going to keep all this stuff going? Who's going to build the skyscrapers, the iron workers, the guys in the manhole? This is not funny. And then our major industries and manufacturing and stuff. Everybody wants to have a briefcase and look good and be a fancy office worker, right? Well, somebody had to build that building, Mac or Joe. The house you live in, somebody had to build that, design the house, but also build the house, get out there and sweat and put the thing together. Or the skyscraper that the CEO is sitting in that is nicely air conditioned and he's not getting dirty all day. Somebody had to go 100 stories up in the air, and probably a few guys got hurt or even killed. Or when they built the Golden Gate Bridge, or the Hoover Dam, massive monumental engineering feats. Somebody had to have the sack and the balls to do that at the end of the day. It's one thing to design it on paper, but at the end of the day, you got to get it done. Can you imagine actually building the Hoover Dam? What an immense thing that was. And I got to believe probably hundreds of men died building it, but we still reap the benefits from that today. That's my diatribe, but it's an important one. And so when I see these men that don't want to work, really? I mean, our society is going to collapse. We don't build anything anymore. We don't have manufacturing. And then we got people that don't even want to work. We're being hollowed out, like you said, man. We're going to be a paper tiger if we're not careful. And we're going to hollow out.
Why do you think
we're going to collapse from our own fat weight?
Well, why
there's no bone structure and muscle to keep us up.
Why are they making that choice?
A multitude of reasons. Because I think one of the reasons is we're making it easier probably for them to make that choice. In a lot of ways, with the go back to the 50s, I mean the 60s, when Johnson took over and all the entitlement system started to come into play. And oh, by the way, don't misinterpret what I'm saying. I'm all for helping my fellow American that needs help and that's truly down and out. I'm totally for X amount of my tax money or whatever, helping them. But what I'm not for is a willing, healthy, able body and mind person, man or woman, that just chooses, hey, I ain't going to work. I'm just going to hang out and the government can send me a stimmy or whatever.
The government didn't have all these handouts. Do you think all these people today, it's not like it was 100 years ago when your grandparents came to this country and they literally had to
bust their ass?
Well, there was nothing here waiting for them.
I understand. My grandmother.
Whereas today, immigrants coming in get a lot of freebies. It's like they get a welcome package, right?
They can. That's true. They can go to for example, they don't even have to be a citizen. They can go to the emergency room and go there and get service. You and I that are freaking American citizens, we go there. The first thing they ask is, let me see your insurance card. And then they take an hour.
I'm just talking. That's a good point, but I'm talking the basics like food and shelter.
Yeah, I'm just citing an example. Yeah, I mean that's another example. Like if they want to get help in that regard, they can get it. Now, there's a fair amount of immigrants that I know that choose not to do that and they choose to actually work. And I applaud them. And even if they're not citizens,
I'm not talking the ones who I'm talking the ones where you hear about they're coming here.
I know where they outright take advantage, right? Because
I have no problem with immigrants.
Exactly.
In fact, I mean, unfortunately, if our government acted more, responsibly, I won't say morally because the government can't, but if a government just got out of the way we wouldn't even need borders. People would come and go and do what they will, and you wouldn't have people blowing up things. You wouldn't have fear, because what did you do wrong? I mean, yeah, you might have a couple nuts, but that's freedom. So.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I mean, I always liken it to the analogy, you've heard me say it before, like the football game. You've got the players on the field, you've got the facility, you've got the field itself, and you've got the referees, which are the laws, rules, and regulators. Okay. So I'm all for a framework. Okay. I'm not a freaking chaos anarchy guy. Okay. I believe in government and a framework. Absolutely. Otherwise you do have total chaos. But the referees at the end of the day got to get the hell out of the way and let the players play and let the markets do their thing in terms of the laws of supply and demand, and not jump in the way, like I said the other day, and be the 12th man and run down the field and catch the pass and then score the touchdown for the team that you want to win. Okay. That's not how it's supposed to be. Okay.
So
in my simplistic mind, but that's what's happening. You got artificial prop ups all the time. And, in the elite and the most wealthy, particularly this last year and a half with this massive cluster, they've been making more money than ever before. But the average guy from the middle class down has been getting hammered more than ever before. There's so many people. I mean, go to California now. I mean, nothing against Cali, but Cali's turned into a total utter friggin' shit show. I mean, you got more homeless there than ever before. I mean, they got cities now of homeless. Before it would be sprinkled little bastions under a bridge or whatever with a pop-up makeshift tent. Now you've got entire communities, like towns of thousands of people.
It's everywhere now.
That have pitched their pop tent. That are homeless. It's unbelievable. They don't even have enough water to shave their face. It's crazy.
It's everywhere now.
Yeah. So, and we boast that we're doing a good job. I mean, really? These are American citizens.
And here's the sad thing is we haven't even felt the pain yet.
Well, as a total whole, I would agree. Yeah. Bastions and pockets have. But as a whole, yeah, we haven't felt the freight train, the pain train yet. Yeah, with the ramifications of all this money printing, low interest rates.
Well, let me ask you, let's go back
COVID,
to what I was saying before. If China decides that they don't want U.S. dollars, okay, and Bed Bath and Beyond last night, their numbers went like this because their forward guidance is saying, well, we can't get product and we're having trouble getting people coming into our stores, blah, blah, blah.
I know where you're going, so ask it. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Well, no. What am I asking then?
Yeah.
No. But I'm saying, so these safe companies like Walmart, Amazon, Home Depot.
Yeah. They rely on Chinese-made products, correct.
What's going to happen to their stock prices?
Well, their stock prices, right, to summarize what you said perfectly, is if they don't want to accept our dollar because they don't want to play in that realm anymore, then we're not going to be able to buy the Bed Bath and Beyond, the Walmarts that rely on all these products. I'm not going to be able to buy them. And if they're not going to be able to buy them, then their shelves are going to be empty. If their shelves are empty, it's one thing leads to another. They're not going to have anything to sell. If they don't have anything to sell, then they're not achieving any top line revenue whatsoever. And everybody knows it starts with top line revenue, right? And if you don't make sales, I'm in sales. And it's amazing how Americans, and I will give some of the immigrants credit, particularly in the Far East, they actually, if you say you're a professional salesperson, they actually respect it. Unlike in the West and in the States, they hate salespeople, but that's called free market. How do you think revenue gets generated, folks, now that I'm on my diatribe? Somebody has to sell something and somebody has to buy something, or somebody has to buy something that's being sold.
Yeah, but what if you have nothing to sell?
Exactly. So now these places that normally get their products from China, that are no longer getting their products from China, because China says, I don't want the greenback anymore, have empty shelves, they got nothing to sell, there's no top line revenue coming in. So what people have to understand is even the most lowest worker, which a lot of them don't understand this, they just want to show up for a paycheck and smoke their Marlboros 4 times a day on breaks. What they got to understand is that they're all part of the system too, and their role is important too, but they got to understand at the end of the day, what they're doing ultimately supports sales and marketing. And if sales is not selling stuff, and you have no revenue, eventually it trickles down to no cash flow. And when there's no cash flow, you can't even make payroll. And when you can't make payroll, then you don't have jobs. Then you lay people off, folks.
And what about the pension funds and retirement accounts?
All of it, yeah. Where do you think the funding comes from? You have to produce a product or a service. And at the end of the day, it's got to be seen as having value in the marketplace, that somebody's willing to plunk down their hard-earned cash to buy it. I mean, this is important.
And let's go one step further.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say the foreign company says, I don't want your dollars, so I'm not going to sell you my chips. And now you can't make cars.
100%.
You can't make washing machines. Or what about the cities who have the LED street lights?
Yeah, 100%.
Or the controller boxes, and one of those goes.
Or the computers, or your flat screen TV, on and on and on. Or probably your freaking toaster, in your car, like you said. I mean, yeah, guys. I know
you're going to be able to repair it. You're going to be able to replace it.
Exactly. So, somebody watching this could be a wise guy and say, well, guys, this is all apparent. This is rudimentary. This is 101. Yeah, it is, and it isn't. And what do I mean by
who's talking about what we just talked about?
Well, I'm being facetious and devil's advocate now. So this is 101, guys. Really, do I need this basic rundown? Yeah, you do need the basic rundown, because with what's going on, we're obviously missing this stuff. We're obviously not keeping this in mind or at the top of our frontal lobe based on what's happening in our actions and our decisions as a whole, starting with the leadership, right? I mean, apparently, and what really gets me is that
but maybe these kids are smarter than we think, and they see the end of the line is like this, and they're like, "I'm getting off the train, man."
Yep, that could be part of it. It could be. Yep, absolutely. But our generation, the way we were raised, and maybe it's a strength and a liability or asset and liability. The way we were raised is to work hard and to solve problems, add value to the marketplace, bust your ass, and if you see problems waning and stuff like this, to try to save it. I mean, that's how we were raised. Now, the younger generations, I'm not faulting them at all, but a lot of them were raised in broken households, unlike us, and had one parent and stuff, and the mother was working 2 or 3 jobs, right? So she didn't have time to even think about this stuff most of the time, right? So now you got these people growing up that where these beliefs and values are just not there, or just totally different from what we learned. I'm not saying one's better than the other, but I'm saying it's different, and it's different to the point where, Dave, what you just said, the young people, maybe some of them, are seeing it that way, and are just like, hey, this is just fruitless. So,
well,
but
here's the question people are going to have. It's coming down to this, okay? And our country has been complicit since World War II, allowing the powers that be to do whatever the hell they wanted. And the reason that we've allowed it to happen is because, just like the Chinese allowing their government to do whatever they want, because their standard of life has been this standard. Okay, our parents grew up saying, hey, it's the American dream. You just do, everybody generation will do better than the next. That's what was ingrained. Okay, but what happens when this is what the future is? Are you going to allow the powers that be go along? Are you going to allow, are there now going to be enemies, phantom enemies created so we have somebody to hate? So we've supported wars in Vietnam and in all these other places around the world.
The
Afghanistan war, the Iraq, which all of those have been proven to be lies.
Yeah, 20 years.
We've never questioned Kennedy assassination and 9/11 because we're half asleep, or we're drugged by whatever they're putting in the water.
50, 60 years this has been going on, 100%.
So the bottom line is, who's going to push back when they decide that China is the enemy and they're destroying our way of life, and we have to take them over, or we have to punish them, or we have to force them to do what we want them to do? That's what's coming.
I agree. I see this clear as day. I hope we're dead wrong, but I don't think we are. I don't think we are. And I said to a friend the other day, there's no pushback anymore as a whole, or fight, if you will. Not that I want to see any fighting, but you know what I'm saying, figuratively anyway. There's no fight in the American people anymore, by and large. There isn't. But there is enough gumption and get up and go to, get up early on a Sunday morning and blow off church and worship and go to the NFL football game. I mean, I love sports like the next guy, but really, family of 4 and go, drop $600 for the day and spend 7 hours doing that, drinking $10 beers. There's enough get up and go and gumption for that.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah, I mean, I like to have fun like the next guy. I love cold beer and pizza. Absolutely, like the next guy, and chocolate chip cookies. Absolutely, I'm a fathead. But where do you draw the line of what's truly important at the end of the day?
Live long and prosper.